Is it World War III yet?
North Korea is having their best year since the fall of the Soviet Union, and I say that because the Soviet Union used to be their cash cow, and they've been without one for many, many years, and now they're being courted by both China and Russia. North Korea is supplying Russia with upwards of 50,000 troops to put on the front lines, and they are building the missiles that China is giving them the inputs for to be distributed to Russia and Iran, and because this is ultimately China's Cold War with the United States. On top of that, Trump is trying to court Kim Jong-un again like he did in his first term, but not to the same amount of success, as he is trying to get a meeting with Kim Jong-un, and he's trying to, say nice things to him on the internet. In response, the North Korean leader is still launching small ballistic missiles into the sea. Now, the reason for this really is because even though Trump decided to pull back on military exercises, the actual military exercise he was wanting to pull back on is still actually going on. And North Korea basically sees this as nothing but words, which is why they launched the missiles. But regardless, North Korea is benefiting more than any other country from all of these minor conflicts around the globe. And when I say minor, I mean regional. And speaking of regional conflicts, you still have the one with Russia and Ukraine, which is still heavily ongoing, as Russia is just pummeling Ukraine all the time with more and more missiles and drones. Now, of course, Ukraine is able to return the favor in a much more strategically targeted capability, burning whole factories and fuel depots, so much so that Russia can't even fuel up 7 out of their 10 gas stations, and yet somehow they're still supposed to be a threat to NATO. And I mean conventional threat. And they are not a conventional threat to NATO. However, they are able to conduct harassing attacks in the gray zone space, as they are able to pay people to conduct arson attacks. They are allowing their drones to basically go into NATO airspace and in their maritime domain, basically claiming that it's an accident and it's not their fault. Just, basically to see how NATO would react. And honestly, it doesn't really matter. Because how we react to singular drones now will be different in the future. But regardless, it is an overwhelming nuisance that is spreading from Romania to Norway. And on an additional note of ballistic missile and drone attacks, Russia is able to produce far more missiles and drones than the Ukraine, Japan, Germany, the U.S. are able to produce interceptors. And part of the reason, beyond the fact that we are not in any wartime economies of any sort, is that it costs more to create interceptors, because the technology behind the ability to intercept missiles in the air is far more complicated than simply programming some geo coordinates into a missile that then strikes the ground. It's just there are fundamental differences here that cost more, beyond the fact that we're not in a wartime economy. But yes, they are producing significantly more attack capabilities than we are producing defensive capabilities. Now, that is set to change in the next year, as we are going to ramp up production. But again, those outputs will not be ready for another year, 2, 3. It really depends on the product we're talking about. But with regards to defensive and offensive capabilities, we are starting to ramp up those missile production capabilities, and it's just going to take some more time. Staying in that region, apparently the Department of War has shut down the battalion that was in charge of learning from best practices of the Ukraine war with regards to drone warfare. That battalion was stationed in Poland. That has led many to believe that we no longer have a counter-drone capability, which is complete BS. We absolutely do, and we have more in development. We, in fact, have a multi-layered counter-drone capability in place and being developed by our defense contractors, and so it's just extremely laughable to think that we're just going to give that up. And finally, for those that are afraid that Russia is going to attack the United Kingdom, stop being afraid of that. That is fucking stupid. Listen, Russia is upset that the United Kingdom has given like 600 drones for the Ukraine to use against Russia out of like the million that Ukraine has produced. Do you understand the percentages here? It's so minor that Putin and his lackeys are just giving rhetoric to scare the likes of you, basically. But Russia is not going to do any sort of attack against the United Kingdom. They may do some gray zone tactics, hire somebody to go burn a factory down, but they're not going to actually conduct some sort of conventional military attack. They're not even capable of doing so. Where are they going to get the fuel from? Moving to the Strait of Hormuz, President Trump has started his economic war against Iran, although that technically started with Operation Financial Fury or whatever you call it, economic fury. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The point is that they're being squeezed like a boa constrictor squeezes their prey with regards to how much money they're losing every single day. The added piece to this week is that Trump is also targeting any third-party interventionists that are still doing business with Iran. They know who they are. The Trump administration knows who they are, and they're going to start sanctioning them as well and taking their money as well. All right, that's my quick around the world update. I'm sure I missed a few things. Please let me know in the comments what I missed and what else you'd like me to talk about. All of that was basically off the top of my head. And also, what did you think about this little lemonade I got here with Rocket Man's Doomsday Lemonade? Taste the apocalypse. I haven't actually tasted it yet. Maybe I should. Let me know in the comments what you think. Have a good day.